intersection of making art and making money.
You can make your marketing so much more effective with one easy switch. Welcome to Explore Your Enthusiasm, episode 102. Today we are going to talk all about what one small switch you can do to make your marketing more effective. I'm Swiger, and I help makers and artists recognize that you are the best expert in your own business. I help you become that expert through my weekly podcast here on Explore Your Enthusiasm and in online and in-person classes. You can find details about all of that at taraswiger.com. So today we're going to dig into something I've mentioned in a couple past podcast episodes, and I get questions about it every time I talk about it, and that is how to make your marketing effective by focusing your efforts on one thing at a time. So that's it. That's the secret. That is the one switch you can do to make your marketing more effective, and that is to pick one thing, plan to talk about that one thing for 2 to 4 weeks, talk only about that thing for the 2 to 4 weeks in all of your marketing. Now, if you do this, if you really do this, and if you have any number of followers at all, you don't need 1,000 followers to see an increase in sales. You could do this with 50 to 100 followers combined across your platforms. If you really do this, you're going to see an increase in sales because you're making it very clear and obvious how people can find you and the steps that they need to take in order to buy. To make it very obvious what you sell, you're making it very clear on the steps on how to do this by focusing on one thing. Because you see, it's really easy to get wrapped up in using the tool the right way and forget all about using it as a marketing tool. And what I mean by this is a lot of us will just think about like building community and reaching more people and using the right hashtags instead of focusing on telling the people who are following us about the thing that we sell and then telling them the exact steps to take to do it. And the flip side of that is if you do that, if you make clear call to actions, but all of your calls to action are different or confusing, or you switch it up every day, you make it really hard for people to know what you most prioritize them doing. And this goes back to something we talk about a lot, which is the customer path. You want to talk to the people where they are in their journey to getting to know you and buying from you, and move them from where they are to where they need to be, whatever the next step is. So whether that's they just met you and they need to sign up for your email list to get a coupon or a discount or an opt-in, like we talked about in episode 100, or whether they are on your list or have been knowing you for a while and they need to take the next step to actually buy from you. So it's very easy for us to forget to do that, to get to use the tool to actually make sales. Even though that seems like, well, of course, but I want you to look at your last 3 messages on your favorite tool. Pick whatever your favorite tool is that you use almost daily or that you use super consistently. So this might be your email list, your blog, your Periscope, your Instagram, your Pinterest, whatever tool is your favorite that you are like, this is the tool I'm using to share my business with people. Look at your last 3 messages. How many of those last 3 messages had a clear call to action? And a call to action tells people exactly what you want them to do, specifically to buy one specific product. How many of your last 3 messages? I am betting if you were like many of the makers and artists I work with, 0. 0 of your last 5 messages told people to go get a very specific product. Instead, maybe your posts are very generally about your business, or maybe they're not about your business at all, and you say Instagram's my favorite tool, but you're not posting about your business on it. So I want to fix that because this is how you make your tools effective. You're not just using Instagram, Twitter, Periscope, etc. for the fun of it. You're using it for your business. And if you have not used it recently for a clear call to action, you are totally not alone. I think we really get excited about creating a community and figuring out how to use a tool and connecting with people, and we totally forget that the reason we're using it is to make more sales. We're not just using it for the fun of it. Now, I've said this before and I want to be really clear about it. If you are using a tool just for the fun of it, and by that I mean you're using it to connect with your peers or you're using it to connect with your friends and families, then that's totally fine. You are obviously welcome to use any kind of tool just to connect with people in your personal life separate of your business. But if you're doing that, recognize it and set your expectations accordingly. Someone told me recently on Twitter that they used Instagram just to connect with their peers. Okay, then don't expect sales to come from it because your peers aren't buying from you like your customers are. And if you have limited marketing time, Don't say that you're spending that marketing time on a tool that you're really just using to connect with friends and family and peers. If you want to use it for a marketing tool, take the steps that it takes to make sales on it. So, if this is an easy way of making marketing more effective, if all you need to do is focus on one thing for 2 to 4 weeks and then focus on the next thing for 2 to 4 weeks, why don't we do it? Why do we get so distracted by sharing all kinds of other messages and using these tools in all kinds of other ways? I have a couple ideas of why we get distracted, and you can listen in and see which one of these apply to you. So you might get distracted because you really worry about focusing on the right thing. You want to make sure before you focus on one thing that it's the right thing. It's the tool the most, or it's the product the most amount of people are going to buy, or it's the thing that's the best, or it's the thing that's most effective. And so you get scattered and you get all over the place because you're worried about the right one. I meet a lot of people who are obsessed with finding the right thing they should focus on, and so they focus on nothing and they have no effectiveness. So stop that. There isn't a right thing. There isn't some secret product you're going to create that if you would just think of it and come up with it, all of your problems would be solved and you would know exactly what to do in your business. That doesn't exist. That's not how business works. Instead, you focus on the products you have. You continuously create better and better products, and you share the products you have with the world as where you are exactly right now. So there is no right product you should be focused on. Pick one you're proud of and share it. I'm going to talk more about how to do that in just a minute. So you might also be getting distracted because you worry you're not doing enough. So it's very easy to think, I need to be on Instagram, I need to be on Pinterest, I need to have an email list, I need to have a blog post, I need to be doing it all. And on Instagram, I'm going to post a picture of this newest product, and my blog post is going to be about these products over here, and my email list is going to be about these products. And when you do it like that, when you think about all the tools and you focus on not one product at a time across them all, they all feel very disjointed, both for you and for your people, because you have people who are following you in all the places. And so if you are telling them about all your different stuff all the time, it's hard for you to come up with content and to communicate it effectively, and it's hard for them to understand what it is you're talking about if it's just scattered all the time. So if you worry that you're not doing enough, I want you to settle on one product for the next 2 weeks and share it in all the places you're already using. Don't worry about coming up with new tools to use. That's just a distraction from using the ones you already have effectively. Now, you might also get distracted because you don't see immediate results. You get bummed out and you go back to your scattershot approach. I see this all the time when people will come up with a marketing plan that will totally work, that will be completely effective, and yet they do it for a week. They're like, I don't see any changes. I'm not going to do it, or I'm going to change it up, or I'm going to add new things to it. No, in order to see any kind of results from your marketing, you need to stick with your plan for a while. You need to keep implementing it because we've talked about this before. Consistency is the key to building trust, which builds sales. So if you show up in a bunch of different ways and it's different every time and you're not consistent with any of it, your customers aren't going to trust that you're going to be able to show up to create a good quality product and deliver it to them. So by showing up consistently in your marketing and having a clear message in your marketing, you're building the trust that you're going to show up consistently in your delivery of the product and in your expertise of the product. And that kind of trust building is going to increase your sales. An example of this is this very podcast. I've recorded it and had a new episode every single week for 102 weeks. So for 2 years now, and I only took 1 week off, which was a week of in between Christmas and New Year's in like the end of 2015, the beginning of 2016. And because of that, people now trust that I'm going to show up. And because you've heard a lot of my teaching in snippets on the podcast, you trust that you can take a class and get that same kind of content, that same quality of content. You know if you like my teaching or you don't. And frankly, if you don't, you're probably not still listening. And so that builds trust. I also Periscope almost every single weekday. And I have been Periscoping since June and doing it consistently at least since, I don't know, November or December. And that has built up trust with people who have followed me on Periscope. They end up then listening to the podcast and they end up then buying stuff from me because I've built up the trust. So you don't have to show up in all the places. You need to pick the places you're showing up and do it consistently. I could give you so many examples of thing after thing that I have Just become consistent in it and then add it on one more tool and become consistent in it and add it on one more tool. Now, each tool I add on and become consistent in increases sales, but it wouldn't if I tried to do all of them at once without consistency. Okay, so if you don't see immediate results, do not get bummed. Do not back away from the focused plan. Keep implementing the focus plan consistently, and you'll start to see changes. So how do you stop being distracted, and how do you focus on one thing? Well, I have created a worksheet that you can get at taraswiger.com/podcast102 that is going to walk you through doing this for your one product. And it's going to help you create all the content you need to create for a focus of 2 weeks on one product. I'm going to walk you through these steps verbally, but so don't worry about taking notes. You can find a worksheet that you can apply this to your next product, because I want you to not just listen. I want you to then do this. I want you to spend the next 2 weeks, no matter when you're hearing this, I want you to spend the next 2 weeks marketing one product and see if it doesn't make a shift in your business. So to get started with, to get away from all the distractions, you're going to pick one product you're really proud of. I want you to pick one product that you're super proud of, you know it's high quality, and you feel awesome about it, okay? And then I want you to focus on talking about this one product for the next 2 weeks. I want you to commit right now that all of your marketing messages are going to be about this one product. Now, this doesn't mean every single Instagram post is going to be about it. It means all of your Instagram posts that are marketing messages that have clear call to actions. This doesn't mean that every tweet is going to be about this one product. It means that you're going to mix in marketing tweets and Instagram posts with your other content. Okay? So then the question is, what kind of content will you create? There's a couple ways of thinking about this. First of all, I want you to go back and look at all of the content you've already created for this thing. Have you ever blogged about it? Have you ever posted about it on social media? Have you ever taken good photos of it? I'm certain you have, because if it's listed in your shop, then you must have photos and a description. Gather those up in this worksheet, and then also write down the names of all the blog posts you've made about it, write what your social media posts have been about it. So when you first offered this thing, when you first made this thing, I bet you posted about it somewhere. Gather that together. Gather it together in one place, because here's the thing, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can reshare these messages now. If the blog post was sometime in the last year, you don't necessarily need to repost it. You can reshare it across all the social media you use. I'll link back to that original blog post talking about it, and the blog post hopefully has a call to action to the product. If not, you can go back and edit blog posts you've already written to have a clear call to action to the product you're going to focus on, and then share those on social media. Share those blog posts on social media. So that's one set of content that you can share over the next 2 weeks. It might be, like for me, I recently did this because I'm about to re-release Craft Your Marketing, the class. If you've signed up at taraswiger.com, you'll be the first to hear about it. But I'm about to re-release that. So I went and I looked at all the blog posts and podcasts I've done about marketing, and there are like 12. So I know that stuff I've already created, I don't need to recreate those. I need to reshare them. And I'm going to go back and edit them and make them all link to the class that's now available, to the new sales page, and then share those posts. So it's a way of me sharing good quality content and not having to recreate the wheel. And that's a big part of my marketing already done. So what content that you've already created around it, and then what else do you need to create around it? What new things can you say about it? A quick way to come up with new stuff is to think, what are people's questions before they buy this? If you've ever sold it at a craft show, if you've ever had any conversation with any of your buyers, then you have an idea of the questions people ask. They might ask, how big is it? What's it made of? Is it washable? Is it machine dryable? How long is it supposed to last? Can I let kids under 5 have it? Whatever their questions are about your thing. Maybe if you sell like a craft supply, like fabric or yarn, people say, what can I make with it? Answer those questions. Put together posts and emails and social media posts that answer those questions. The second way to think about what kind of content to create is, how can you help the person become a better owner? And by that I mean, how can you make it easier for them to use this in their life? So maybe you give them care instructions for how to take care of it. maybe you show them how to wear it. So once you buy my scarf, here are the 3 ways you can wear it. If it's any kind of accessory, show them how to wear it and show them repeatedly how to wear it. You can have a whole series of posts about how to best wear it or pull it off. If it's something you hang in your home, show them pictures of it hanging in a variety of people's homes and different ways of displaying it. So when you think about what kind of content to write, you're going to answer the questions that they have before they buy, because if you answer those questions and then you invite the person to buy it, you've like bypassed that question in their head. You've made them that much more likely and able to buy it. And then how do you help them become a better owner of it? Because what you're doing is you're helping them see themselves own it and use it. And that's going to make it easier for them to know that they want to invest in it. So write down the answers to those questions. And then I want you to collect 2 to 3 good reviews or compliments on the product. Now, you might have gotten these compliments at shows. You might have them in your inbox, like people have emailed and said, oh my goodness, I just got the favorite line. I love it so much. You might also have the reviews in your Etsy shop or whatever shopping cart you use if it allows people to review it. Collect them. Write them down on the worksheet, 2 to 3. If you have 10, collect 10. Collect at least 2 to 3, though, of people that love it and that are specific about why they love it. So just a little hint, what you're looking for in a really good testimonial is you want them to say the questions or concerns they had before they bought it, because if you can address those, if your testimonial addresses those and the person who's feeling them thinks, oh, that's me, that's exactly my problem, and then what helped them make the decision to buy it, and then what they love about it. So if you sell something really high priced, the more your testimonial talks about the concern that people had, the easier you'll be, or the better the testimonial will be at telling a person, it's okay, I had that fear too, and now it's fine. Now, if you sell something that people buy a lot of, like for example, yarn or clothing, you might not need to have as much of the problem in your testimonial. But if the person can basically lay out their customer path, I had this problem, I wasn't sure about this solved it, that's a great testimonial. Or if you sell something that's visually beautiful, like a lot of makers and artists do, then you want them to talk about how it fit into their life or what they loved about it or its high quality. The things that matter most in your brand and to your product, you want the testimonial to reflect that. So in other words, a great testimonial isn't, I loved this, best yarn ever. A great testimonial is, I wasn't sure, I fell in love with this print, but I wasn't sure where to hang it. And then I found the perfect spot above the couch and it was really easy to frame and it looks beautiful and everybody compliments on it when they come in my home, right? So I talked about some problems and I talked about some solutions. Those are the best testimonials to find. Gather them up, put them in the worksheet. Then the next step is you've thought through what kind of content you've already created, what kind of content you could create, and the things people have said that they love about it. So you're going to take that and you're going to create 3 pieces of social media for whatever tools you use. So if you use Twitter, write 3 tweets. If you use Instagram, I want you to put together 3 pictures for Instagram and then what you're going to say about it. So it might be just a picture of the product and you say, you share a testimonial from your people on that product. You share it in the description part of Instagram. If it is, if you Periscope, then I want you to put together answering the questions people most often have and answer that in a Periscope. If you do YouTube videos, the same kind of thing. If you use your Facebook page a lot, then put together a Facebook post. One can be a testimonial, one can be a description of how you came up with the thing, and one can be answering people's questions. So you're going to take the stuff I just asked you and you're going to apply it to create actual pieces of content. Now, the reason why you're creating this now is because I can tell you, you're going to get sick of talking about your stuff. Now, in a recent podcast episode, we talked about how to avoid marketing burnout. And actually, I have 2 podcast episodes about that. I recorded the second one and completely forgot I had done the first one. And the way to avoid it is to pre-write it and pre-create it and then schedule it so you don't have to wait until you're in the mood on the actual day you want to post it. So write it down now. Then plan your emails. You should definitely have an email list. And I want you to plan at least 2 emails about this product. And I give you some hints on this in the worksheet, which again, you can find at taraswiger.com/podcast102. You are going to not only plan out what you're going to say in the email, but also make a very clear call to action and write it now. Because if you wait till the day that you're sending it, often we get like nervous, like, will this bug people? Oh no, I'm not sure. So we back off writing a really clear call to action because of our own nerves. But if you do the work ahead of time, you can do it when you're feeling really good and great about your product. That's part of the reason why I had you look at testimonials, is that you need to feel really good and great and in the mood to talk and invite people to your thing. And the way to get in that mood, it's really easy, is to look at the people who you've already made really happy about it. Now, like I said, I created a worksheet that walks you through this whole process. You can find it at taraswiger.com/podcast102. Now, after you filled out that worksheet, you just need to implement this over the next 2 weeks. Now, you can either implement it like every day, like you put it on your calendar. Okay, today I'm writing the email and I'm doing this social media post. Now, remember, I just had you create 3 social media posts. So over the course of 2 weeks, you're most likely going to have 5 to 10 Instagram posts. Make 2 to 4 of them about this product. And you've already created them in the worksheet. You can also, if you send an email only every 2 weeks or every month, at least send one over the course of the next 2 weeks and focus on this thing. Now, you can actually implement this over the course of the next 2 weeks, or you can schedule it. You don't have to worry about doing it over the next 2 weeks. So you can use Buffer. That's what I use, a Buffer app to schedule your social media. You can use your blogging and email software to write up your blog posts or your emails and schedule them. You don't need to write them when they go live. You can write them ahead of time and schedule them. And you can do all this scheduling, everything I just said, in an hour or 2. Once you've figured out what you're going to share, the actual putting it together and scheduling it isn't going to take more than an hour or 2. Even if you create a lot of images, I'm assuming you already have photos of your product, right? And you already have photos you can use to talk about your product. If not, maybe another hour or 2 to create those photos, then get them all scheduled. You could do that all in an hour or 2 because you know exactly what you're going to say and what you're going to use. And then you could be done with marketing for the next 2 weeks. Now, you'll still have to put in your non-marketing content on Twitter or Instagram. You can even plan that out if you want to. My point is, you can get it all done now, and then your business will be over the next 2 weeks sharing with somebody this one specific product. Then you can turn your focus into actually making products and shipping all the orders that are going to come in. So I think a lot of times we feel like we always have to be marketing or we always have to be worried about this stuff. But if you really think it through and plan it out ahead of time, you don't have to always be doing it. Now, I Periscope every weekday, so I kind of am talking about my stuff every day. But I can tell you when I have a new class or when I have a new product or I have a new project, I do it as much as possible in advance and schedule it because I know talking about it on Periscope is going to be hard enough each day. So I get it as much as possible done ahead of time, even the Instagram posts and the tweets, and it's all done. And I am still interacting with people on those tools. Just because you schedule it doesn't mean you're not there to interact. I still log in and talk to people. I'm not like a robot. But having the marketing messages planned means that I don't trip over my own self-doubt and I don't get distracted by feeling, I don't know if, or it's, sometimes you just wake up and you don't feel good. Maybe you have the flu. Maybe you are having a low self-esteem day. Maybe you are just really worn out from all the work you're doing and you don't feel like putting yourself out there and telling people why they should buy your thing. That's why if you do it ahead of time when you're feeling great and you're thinking about the testimonials and the people who love it, it's a lot easier to plan your marketing. So all of this, what we've talked about, is only going to work if you have people who are getting your messages, if you have followers or email subscribers or blog readers. And I work with makers and artists who are past the initial startup phase. So nearly everybody that I work with in the classes that I create are for people who already have a shop up and already have some people who know they exist. But I know that some of you who are listening or watching aren't there yet. You are just in the startup phases. You don't know what social media tools to use. You're just starting to think about marketing. So let me talk really quick about what to do if you don't have any followers anywhere, because it's going to be a slightly different process for you. Okay, first of all, before you worry about any marketing at all, before you ever think about people getting your message, you have to get your own home in order. And I talk about this in my book, which you can find at taraswiger.com/book. Chapter 4 is all about getting your home base in order. Because before you spread the message and you send out invitations, you got to make sure your home is ready so that when people reply to those invitations, they have some place to go. So you need to have a place where people can buy your goods, and you need to have more than just 1 or 2 things available. I said this is in a recent podcast episode or an early podcast episode, and people commented on it all the time because I said, before you worry about marketing, get things in your shop. Spend time setting up your shop and putting things in it. And your shop does not need to be perfect. I don't want you to spend lots of time like perfecting before you ever share it with anybody. You got to get it set up. You got to have things in your shop. You got to have enough things that when I go and I shop, I have some choices. A lot of people see an increase in sales when they go past either the 50 or the 100 item mark. So get that in your head. You got to create a lot of stuff and put it out there before you start getting sales. So many people drop off at this point. Don't feel bad if you do, but that's not really building a business. To build a business, you got to be hardcore, make enough stuff, put it in the shop. And then, so I want you to fill up your shop with at least a dozen things before you move on to these next steps. If you're not there yet, stop. Go work on your things, take good photos, write descriptions, put it in your shop. Then worry about your marketing. So at that point, you need a mailing list. First thing, before you worry about Instagram, Pinterest, blah, blah, set up a mailing list. MailChimp is totally free. MailChimp. And then the next step, so set up a list within MailChimp. They have tutorials that'll walk you through all the stages, and then create an opt-in gift. Now, we talked about this in episode 100. The opt-in is the thing that people are going to get when they subscribe to the list. It is how you're going to invite people to the list. You are not going to say, sign up for my newsletter. You're going to say, get this free awesome thing. So I talked all about how to create a good one, and I created a worksheet for creating a good one in episode 100. You can find that at taraswiger.com/podcast100. It was a Q&A show, but the very first question is about an opt-in, so you can just listen to that part. It's like 15 or 20 minutes. And then there's a worksheet that goes along with it, which you can get at the bottom of that. So taraswiger.com/podcast100. Sign up to the bottom, put in your email address. I'll send it right to you. So set up a mailing list, create your opt-in. Do that before you go on. Then put the sign-up form for your email list on your website and put a link to it in the thank you to your customers. That's how you're going to get people to sign up for it. Then make your main link on any social media you're already using. Forget about starting new things. Don't even think about starting new tools. Use the tools you've already set up and that you're using regularly. Make the main link on those profiles your email sign-up form, and in your description, you can say what you do. Hey, I'm Tara, I make yarn. And sign up below to get, and then awesome description of your awesome thing. Okay, this is how it all fits together for you to get subscribers and you get followers and you get people that's knowing about your thing. You have to offer them something awesome and then invite them to get it in all of the places. So in any social media you currently use, that's going to be your main link, and you're going to include a description of your awesome opt-in in that, like your profile description. So it's not just about you, it's about this awesome thing they can get. The third step, I want you to pick one tool other than your email list to use daily if you're not already. For most people, Instagram is a really easy way to get started. Then read 2 to 3 articles about using this tool effectively. So if you decide to make it Periscope, you decide to make it YouTube, you decide to make it Instagram, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Stop worrying if it's the right tool. Pick one. Read only 2 to 3 articles about using it effectively, and from each article, implement one thing you're going to do to improve it. So whether that's that you start taking better photos on Instagram, that you put a better profile photo up, just get a couple tips and immediately implement them. Okay? Honestly, this is exactly how to get started marketing. Everything else is a distraction. Boil it down to this. And then the fourth step is to apply everything I said in this episode about focusing your item on, or focusing your energy on marketing one thing, but focus on marketing your opt-in. So when you are very first getting started, focus on inviting people to sign up to your list to get the cool free thing. Okay? So I want you to share your opt-in on social media, or if you're blogging, or if you're periscoping, everywhere for at least 1 month, mixed in with other interesting things that are appropriate to that platform. So you're not going to post every day, sign up to get this, sign up to get this, sign up to get this. That's going to be mixed in with your other stuff. And if you've read 2 to 3 articles about using this tool, you're going to have some ideas about what other stuff you can share. Then after you've done that for a month, then you can shift your marketing focus to your products. If you do that, if this is how you start your business and you follow those steps, you will have some followers, some readers, some email subscribers to talk to when you're ready to finally market your product. Now, the reason why I said you have to have things in your shop to begin with is because no one's going to trust you or believe in you or want to sign up for you until they can see that you can make awesome things and that you've at least got enough together to put a shop together. Now, whether you have a few followers or you have 100,000 followers, the goal is to make every bit of energy you spend on sharing your work to make it as effective as possible. To do that, you're going to focus on sending one message consistently for one period of time. And I hope you saw in my example for people who don't have followers that even if you do have a lot of followers, for some periods of time, your focus will be sharing your opt-in. If you listen to episode 100, you made a really awesome opt-in, then stop talking about your products for a week or two and talk about your opt-in. That's going to increase your list size. And that means when you finally focus on your product 2 weeks later, you'll be talking to more people than you were before. Okay? So, if you have problems even like clarifying your message, knowing what your messaging is, knowing how to write your shop descriptions, choosing a tool to use, or even knowing what your people want to hear from you, we go over all of this in my book, which is a workbook for creating your first marketing plan. And you can find the book, it's called Market Yourself. You can find it at taraswiger.com/book, or you can find it on Amazon. If you get it at taraswiger.com/book, you get a signed version from me. If you get it on Amazon, it comes from the printer. I get asked that all the time. I can't sign the versions that go through Amazon. I'm also going to release a new class called Craft Your Marketing that's going to be exactly about this. It's going to be about choosing a tool, building your audience on that tool, making that tool as effective as possible, and actually identifying who your people are so you write and share the kind of thing your people care about, which is part of how you make your marketing effective, is to be talking to the people who are your buyers. That class is going to come out really soon. If you have signed up at taraswiger.com/podcast102 for this worksheet, you're going to be one of the very first people to hear about it. And if you're listening to this far in the future, signing up on that same page is going to tell you about Craft Your Marketing if you're interested. So thank you so much for listening. I hope this helps you focus in on one thing and makes your marketing more effective. If it does, I want to hear from you. Tell me using the hashtag #ExploreYourEnthusiasm on Instagram or Twitter, and tell me what you are focusing on and what results you're seeing. Thank you so much for listening, and have a very enthusiastic day.
Thanks so much for listening to Explore Your Enthusiasm.